Today I'm trying out the brushes in Artstudio Pro. Hi everyone, Steve Elliott here again, trying out the brushes in Artstudio Pro. Quick disclaimer, the developer of this app did send me a promo code to get a free copy of it and asked me if I would do a tryout of it, which I've already done one. This is the second one. Even though he gave me a copy of the app, this will be really totally impartial. I'm going to do it exactly as I would any other app that I'm trying out. So, having said that, let's get into it. What I wanted to do here was see if I could paint in watercolor using the brushes that were available in the app. And I pretty much try that in every app I try. That's sort of my measure to test an app out. So I went straight to the wet brushes, and there are 15 brushes in this set. And reading through the names, I assumed that the Aquarelle would be the water brushes. So I tried those, and I have to say that it didn't work as a watercolor at all. I couldn't get a realistic watercolor effect with the brushes that are in there at the minute. I'm not saying that I've not looked at exploring about making my own brushes, and if I could do that, I could probably get something that would give a nice watercolor effect, but the default brushes don't really do. But what they do, I didn't get disheartened. They gave a very sort of a pastel effect, I thought. They look like soft pastels. So I continued on this. When I started it, I had no idea what I was going to do. I was just sort of putting streaks of colour on the page, and then the white space at the bottom right started to put an idea in my head that was like crashing waves around some rocks. So at this point, I'd pretty much given up on the watercolour and was thinking, yeah, this could work as sort of a pastel mixed media type piece. So I continued with that, and I pretty much used the Aquarelle brush throughout this, and then blended it a little bit with the Aquarelle mixer. And what I do like about this, when you first load the brush or open a brush, it's very much like working with real paint and brushes, that the paint runs out very quick and you have to keep touching the colour swatch to sort of load your brush up again with colour, which it's nice, but it's also sort of slows you down a lot. So I quickly went into the settings and adjusted those. They're quite easy to do. I just changed the constant paint. I whacked that up to 100. I switched on auto clean brush and auto load paint, and I changed the paint load amount to 30 and the paint duration to 80%. And then with that, I was away to go. I could kind of just continually paint. Anyway, there goes that auto saving feature again. That is quite annoying, that you're working away and all of a sudden that pops on the screen and you just have to wait for that. That is the only real irritating thing about this app, really. So I used the Aquarelle brush and I was changing the size of it. I created a new layer I sort of used it to put on these sort of dark shapes that were the rocks. And then I changed it to sort of a pencil thickness because I wanted to use the coarseness of the brush. I didn't want to use a pencil type brush at all. And I just started to draw in some rock shapes and then colour them in. And then I changed the colour. I used the same palette that I'd mixed for the first demo. So if you want to see how I put that together, that's in the first video I made. I'll put a link for you so you can see that if you want to. And anyway, this layer was created below the layer of the blue to add this extra colour, and I kept it a really minimalist palette. I didn't use all of those colours that are on the screen in the bar on the right hand side. I used probably 4 or 5 of them, that's all. I used the dark purple and the dark blue and the sort of orangey colour and the sort of buff brown, the buff colour, and that was it really. So I just sort of sketching shapes. This is off the top of my head. I've got no reference photos or anything. I'm just making it up. So here I start to add some, I suppose foam, or yeah, foam, I guess, of the waves crashing on the rocks. And I used the coloured Diffused brush for that, and I whacked it up, first of all to about 50%, and then I whacked it all the way up, and I put a few darker colours in as well as the white, where it would be sort of have shadows cast on it from the light rather than just white foam. And I was using the colour acrylic actually to try and put in this water at the front. I wanted this sort of real crashing waves type effect, and not anything sort of smooth, obviously. So the colour acrylic brush worked a treat for that. And that's just sort of putting in this dark colour in the foreground, which pushes the rocks back a little bit and highlights the foam a little bit more. So I was quite happy with that. That worked really well actually. I did like that brush. And then I kind of smudged out some of the foam and then used the eraser to cut back into it so I could see the rock again. And obviously I think I needed to put some more foam in there at some point. So I don't know if I do that straight away. But I blended out a lot of the foam originally and then went back into, rather than erase it, I just blended it and then went back in and added some more. So this was, it's turned out much more like, as I say, a pastel sketch than a watercolour. Even the sort of crashing water at the front looks like I've taken a charcoal block on each side and just sort of laid colour on there. And then I'm using the acrylic brush to put in some whites here. Or, no, I'm not actually. I'm still using the canvas strokes brush. And I've created a layer and set the blending mode to add. Or it might have even been, hang on, let me just look. I can tell you exactly what I set it to. Let's see, I set it to colour dodge. So it, as well as giving the whites, it sort of gives these other sort of turquoisey blues, little specks of blue in there, which I really, really liked as well. So there you can see I'm changing the settings on the constant paint of that brush, just so that I can keep painting in these crevices in the rocks without having to keep selecting the colour, because I just wanted a continuous brush. I wanted the rocks to sort of be in front of the spray that's behind it. So that's why I sort of went in. I created another layer over the top of the foam and started to sketch in these rocks. So it's becoming a little bit more like a drawing than a painting. But as I say, for me, I was feeling like it was turning into a pastel drawing. Apart from the foam, which could have been, I suppose, gouache or something like that, dipped in a toothbrush and flicked on to the paper or the canvas. Then what I'm doing there, I'm using the Mixer Rough brush to put in these sort of, I thought I'd kind of go for some stormy clouds. And then I thought, you know what? No, I'm kind of not feeling it. So I go back into the smudge brush and blend them out again. I did want it darker to balance the painting out a little bit more, but I decided to go for more sort of the almost vertical lines going horizontally across the picture. So that is it. That is my second try out with Artstudio Pro. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, a big thumbs up as always is much appreciated. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, because I have lots of videos like this and I would love to be sharing them with you. And don't forget, give that bell a tick as well, and then you'll get notified when I release new videos. Bye.